Hi everyone, this is Paul here from the Magdalene Centre. Today I'm doing the astrology report for the week commencing the 5th of September. I'll be outlining some of the key aspects and transits for the week and giving an overview of what it all means for us. Before I do that though, I just want to clarify that astrology doesn't control our lives. It merely gives us a framework to help us understand what's unfolding around us, helps us to identify the spiritual lessons that are being highlighted to us at this time, and it also gives us a context for why things are happening the way they are, so we then respond to situations rather than reacting to them. But the astrology itself requires that we actually participate in the process. It doesn't force anything upon us. We actually have to participate in order to grow from it, otherwise nothing will actually change. So in terms of the aspects this week, we'll begin with the moon as usual. The moon is in a home sign of Cancer to begin with, so this is a time for connecting with our emotions, connecting with our feelings, and spending a bit of time on our own just to connect with the core of who we are. On Thursday the moon will move into Leo, so this will be a time for being ourselves, expressing ourselves and exploring our creative potentials, and it's also potentially helping other people to, or encouraging other people to be their creative and real selves as well. On Saturday the moon will move into Virgo, and this brings a focus on establishing order and routine in our lives, so it's dealing with the daily tasks that need to be done to keep things orderly, and it also deals with our physical and mental health, so see if there's any change we need to make to improve our well-being. And the day after, on Sunday, we're going to have the new moon in Virgo, which brings us an opportunity to set new intentions in areas ruled by Virgo, such as our physical and mental health, changing our daily routines so that they're more conducive for our well-being, and developing greater analytical ability so we can become better able to solve any problems that we encounter. They'll go into more detail on this in a separate report because there's a lot going on with this particular new moon. And then the day after, on Monday, the moon will move into Libra, and this will be the time to focus on connecting with one another, rebuilding friendship bridges and cultivating harmony in our relationships. Now in terms of everything else going on this week, there's a lot going on. We've got Saturn will be turning direct on Thursday, and this will bring some forward momentum into our lives. It's important that as we feel that release of energy from Saturn turning direct again, we need to be mindful that we don't go charging into things, we don't rush ahead impulsively. We need to maintain that patience, self-control and self-discipline of Capricorn, and allow new changes and new goals that we want to accomplish to unfold naturally and slowly. Saturn turning direct is a bit like the butterfly emerging from its chrysalis. If it comes out too quickly or gets any kind of help in that area, then its wings don't sufficiently grow and they become stunted, so it can't achieve its full potential. Likewise with us, if we rush things through our symbolic wings, if you like, because it's like time for us to grow our wings, we're not going to achieve any greater degree of freedom if we allow the ego to hijack the process and try to rush things ahead of their natural timing. Saturn in Capricorn is all about being grounded in the present moment and doing things step by step in the natural order of things, rather than trying to force things to move ahead of the natural timing. It's only by moving with the natural timing that we achieve true freedom through accepting personal responsibility for ourselves. Now on the same day, Mercury will enter Virgo. This brings a more analytical bent to the intellect, and this is a time where we need to be looking at developing the intellect's ability to discern truth from illusion, but we also need to be mindful that we don't achieve a fixed or narrow-minded thinking where we believe that if it can't be explained by logic, it doesn't exist. This isn't true, because at the end of the day, human logic has its limits. There's a lot of things which defy human logic's explanation, but it doesn't make it any less real. It just means that we need to be more open to the possibility of things operating in a different way to how we understand them. And just because we don't necessarily understand something, it doesn't make it any less real. And on the same day, Ceres moves into Libra. This brings us a focus of nurturing each other through cooperation in relationships. It's seeking harmony and equality in our relationships and seeking to nurture the other person in the relationship. But it's important that In doing this, we don't lose sight of who we are. For true equality to emerge in relationship and true harmony requires both parties to be honoured equally and both parties to be nurtured equally, so that each person's needs are met without losing touch with our core sense of self in the process. The following day, Neptune is going to oppose the Sun, and this brings us the challenge of making sure that we remember to incorporate intuition and psychic sensitivity into our day-to-day reality. We don't just operate from the rational mind and the ego. So it's bringing logic and intuition together, because the two can then aid each other. Intuition kind of sees the broader picture, the logic deals with the finer details of it. So it's bringing the two together to achieve a more holistic mindset where body, mind and spirit work together rather than any kind of conflict between these three areas. Then on Sunday, we've got Venus moving into Scorpio. This brings with it a focus on the need for authenticity in our relationships. It deals with any kind of power plays within relationships, and it has potential for deep-seated intimacy. But one of the key areas that we need to be aware of here is where we have a need to try and control other people. Now bear in mind that we're in the shadow of Venus retrograde here, so Venus will only move partway through Scorpio before backtracking into Libra later on. So this particular period, we're going to kind of get an initial taste of which areas Venus will be reviewing in our relationships and our values. Because with Venus in Scorpio, it's values along the lines of truth, of honesty and loyalty in relationships. We need to be mindful of any tendencies towards control, of jealousy or domineering attitude, and to find a way to achieve mutual empowerment in relationships, so both people empowered by it. It's not one person becoming powerful at the expense of the other. And lastly, on Tuesday, we've got the Sun is going to be trine Pluto, sextile Jupiter. Pluto and Jupiter being exact sextile to each other as well, and this particular formation brings an opportunity for a deep transformation to achieve a great degree of wisdom through exploring our own shadow side and shining the light of awareness into it. It's only by exploring our shadow side that we can truly empower ourselves, because if the shadow isn't brought into the light of awareness, it'll continue to run the show from the background, and we may not even realise it, but we could be doing things which are being driven by the shadow and it's not in our highest interest. So by illuminating the shadow and transforming it through love and most importantly forgiveness at this time, forgiveness for ourselves for anything that we've done in the past, forgiveness towards other people who may have wronged us in the past, and just learning to let go and embrace our true power, which can only exist in the present moment. So it's challenging us to live in the present moment, to be our authentic self and to let go of the past. And on the same day, Mars is moving back into Aquarius, and this brings a focus to our actions and desires, ideally on seeking the betterment of humanity and society in general, and but for most of us that'll be kind of trying to help out in our communities. It's having ideally aim for a more humanitarian and or altruistic perspective, born out of self-realization, recognizing we're intimately connected with the greater whole and our actions impact it. So the more we operate from the bigger picture and align our actions with a higher guidance, then the better able we are to achieve better well-being for the collective whole. So overall, this week has got a lot of change involved. It's a time, so if we're someone who fears change, then this week's really going to push us to address this fear, because at the end of the day, change is a fundamental part of the natural order of things. Change is a constant. Everything has its natural cycles. Nothing moves. Nothing is ever truly static. There's always some kind of movement involved in one form or another. And it's also time for us to go through deep transformation of the self, through allowing ourselves to be open to recognising where our own shadows are still at play, where the shadow is still running the show, and shine the light of awareness into it. And this week, with having a very powerful new moon involved, it's an opportunity for us to set new beginnings and to change the scripting of our lives. If we're not happy with how things are going, the new moon in Virgo gives us an opportunity to set new beginnings for ourselves, to transform our sense of who we are, to relinquish the inner critic, and to become more humble and open to the possibility of change, and to recognise the need to make changes and humble ourselves through being real with ourselves, recognising where we have our own hang-ups, where we have our own shadow issues that still need to work through, and by acknowledging them and working on them, we have a major opportunity this week to undergo a deep sense of personal transformation. But again, we actually have to participate in this. It's not going to happen to us, it's not going to force things to happen. If we actually want things to change, then we have to be willing to roll up our sleeves and participate. And as long as we focus on love, and whenever we're feeling stressed, we breathe, get focused back in the present moment, because only in the present moment that true change can be manifested and can occur. It's only in the present moment that life happens. If we're living in the past or future, we're going to struggle with some of these aspects, because it's only in the present moment that we can grow and make the changes necessary to become more empowered. So I hope that's a useful guide for this week. I hope it brings you much self-understanding, much personal wisdom, and I hope it helps you understand the necessity of change and the constant nature of change that happens in our lives. And I hope the new moon brings you many opportunities for new growth and brings out the necessary transformation that you want to achieve in life. So may this bring you many blessings. Take care.